So frequently when people start a new path of enjoyment, they have a lot of expectations that are tacked along after they choose.
Right.
So,
Do you have an example?
So, for example, say someone wants to be a famous singer because they love singing. They love music. They love singing. They taught themselves how to play guitar, and they have a beautiful voice. And they love expressing it. They love expressing themselves, really. And that's the way that they chose to do it, out of joy. It was a spontaneous, joyful event. And then they're like, well, how do I make money out of this? How do I survive off of this? How do I... And then they're like, well, in 2 months I'll have this many songs out, and in 3 years I'll be this famous. So I kind of want to talk about that.
Okay. So the expectation based on the original intention and something that you might be enjoying or good at or something of that along those lines. And what happens when we begin to imagine the possibilities is at first that feels very flowy, that feels exciting. It's the original intention of excitement. I have this, or I would like to create this. This feels very good. But immediately what begins to happen after that is that there begins to be an expectation from the ego, a set of constructs to begin to shape the experience into how that's possible or how that can continue to flow. But already when you begin to shape it, you begin to constrict it. So while it's nice to have an idea in a general sense of what you would like, you don't really know how it's going to go. And so if you try to constrict how it's going to go already before you even begin to really create what you have already, you already start shutting doors for yourself, potentials. And the art of beginning something new is to begin to be able to stay in the playing mindset you held originally when you first envisioned yourself doing the thing you want to do.
Oh.
So it's a matter of flow and not constriction. As soon as you start setting limits, well, I have to do this by 2 months, and I need to actually get this book done by 3 months out. You ever hear of writer's block? Where someone has a deadline and they're trying to force something to be something that's great, but they have a certain deadline where they have to get it done. And then suddenly that constriction, those expectations, cut off the flow that was originally the excitement for creating the thing they wanted to create. So expectation begins to be a constrictive force in your creation, whatever you're choosing to create.
So the ego might argue at this point, well, how am I ever going to get anything done if I don't have these limits that I impose upon myself?
And to that, the art of this would be to allow the ego its arguments, because it's going to have these thoughts, and you're going to have ideas. You can validate yourself and say, this is one way that this can come to fruition, while also choosing to acknowledge that some other way could still exist. That if you have a frame of reference where, okay, I would like this to be done in this way, but I'm not going to shut the doors for any other way this could possibly go, then you already open up the other doors to something that could happen that's unexpected, but is actually a gift for you to be able to play in a slightly different configuration or a different way that continues the flow of the creation that you started.
Absolutely. I think a lot of times when people start along a route in joy, because of the limitations that the ego places upon it, like you said, it does close off a lot of the ways that the joy could continue to perpetuate itself. But then again, even when the ego lets go a little bit and says, okay, I can allow other ways for this to manifest, because it wouldn't manifest in the way that the ego would have wanted it to. A lot of people get discouraged. Say they do create a song and so many people love it, yet they still can't make a living as a writer or as a songwriter.
Right.
You know, or like they're not getting the recognition that their ego would like them to get.
So in those cases, it sounds like the ego would be shutting the door to new opportunities. Because oftentimes things happen spontaneously. Thoughts themselves are spontaneous actions. So if you already shut the door to new spontaneous ideas, actions, people, places, things, you begin to shut those doors to that continual flow that you started. So if a singer has this one hit single, and then they say, but now I need to close myself off and do it this one way, and the only way I can produce a groundbreaking, CD is to only do it this way. And then they shut the doors to all the people that have just absolutely enjoyed that song. Then you see where that's going. They close themselves off. They only think it has to happen this one way. And then all of those opportunities that were opened initially by that flow are shut down. And oftentimes the things that happen are so unexpected. That's the flow. Flow is unexpected. Flow moves in many different directions all the time. It is never a straight line. If you look at your life, most of the conversations and major events that happen in your life that you would say are significant happened unexpectedly. It's not like you planned out every moment of your life when you were 18, and if you tried to do that, you probably lived in a way that was very restrictive. You did not allow yourself to open up to new ideas. And I think the part of where the growth can occur, specifically regarding expectation, is to begin to lessen those expectations. Allow yourself to experience something new. You never know if that person or that situation that you just opened up to is the next piece of your journey.
That's really nice. I think it takes practice.
It does, yeah, absolutely. It takes practice to lessen the habits, because expectations are essentially habits of thinking. And if you're like, oh yeah, I love movies, but I don't want to go see that movie, and I don't want to see that movie, and I don't want to create with these people because I don't like them, because this is my habit, you're already closing doors.
Okay. So what I'm hearing is that going into expectations are beliefs about
right. Expectations
how things should happen.
Yes, their expectations are thoughts and habits and beliefs about how it should be. And you don't really know how it should be because you've never done this before. If you're trying something new, how can you already begin to shape something you don't really know? So being open-minded to all the opportunities as they come to you is very, very different than having no idea what you're doing, and you close off all the possibilities and you say, well, if I don't have a book in 3 months from now and I'm not rich and famous from the song or whatever other kind of manifestation it would be, you're already restricting your flow.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
I really liked that. That was really nice.
Yeah.